only way to like
Yeah,
us
they
getting
also
hurt.
look. I think the elephant in the room also on this Celtics team is, and I mentioned this in the last pod with you and Bam, is the Celtics also give off extreme. Like if I'm doing a spectrum of like the 1, 2, 3 Cancun vibes of just like wanting to go home and like go to LA for the summer and relax. Like the Celtics are probably an 8 or a 9 on that scale. Like
Yeah.
they don't have the Wizards vibe as much of like the Wizards went 17-6 in their last 23 and looked like they were really playing hard. Like the the Celtics, I think, could lay down if
Can I tell you what that was though, Sam? Can I tell you
yeah.
that what that was? That was Brand Jordan calling Westbrook and going, "Yo, dude, man, I don't know if we're gonna do a signature sneaker anymore. I don't know if we're gonna, we may be looking at some other guys, and or their agent letting him know that's the case. So he had to put the S on his chest. Bradley Beal had to come out the phone booth as well, but that's because these guys are playing more for more than winning, right? Last year, my friend at Nike, who's a Nike executive, was talking about how Nike's already thinking about how do they move on from Kyrie, like how do they bridge the gap between Kyrie and Ja Morant, and they're so different that as personalities that they have to come up with a whole other plan. Whereas with Giannis, it was kind of cookie cutter. They figure out a way to make him a cool sneaker, and he's a big, and it has to have all of these kind of bells and whistles to be able to sell with people to people with normal size feet. But I say all of that to say that these guys are playing for more, and it looks like the Celtics have decided, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for these guys to retire. We're not beating this team. Do you guys see a look in their eyes, like from their coach down, like they've just looked at this team, understanding basketball, and said, "Nah, I'm good. No, this is not for me." Billy, am I over exaggerating? Is this happy fan talk? Because even Bill
I,
Simmons
I
was like, "It's this is a there's nothing we could do. I don't want to. I almost don't want to win the playing game." Like he's even admitting it.
I think there's something off with the Celtics culture that we like. The Celtics have kind of underperformed over the last few years. There's kind of been some whispers about some drama there. Even when Kyrie was there, Kyrie got the blame for it as the best player, but those things have kind of still persisted since Kyrie has left. And a lot of the Celtics teammates have come to the defense of Kyrie. So I think there's something there within that locker room that I don't know what it is, but the Celtics have underperformed a little bit to me. So I think there's something beneath the surface there. I don't know if it's with Brad Stevens or whatever it is, but something's a little off with the Celtics culture. And as Seth mentioned, they do have those Cancun vibes. So I don't. It just doesn't seem like a team that's all together right now. It doesn't seem like a team that's really pushing to improve. I mean, they're a team that's been to Eastern Conference Finals a couple times in the last few years, and obviously they lose Jaylen Brown. They're kind of just like, okay, this is not our year. It just feels like that kind of vibe with them. So I don't think they're going to be the team to knock off the Nets. And I do, like I said, I don't think they play to the Nets. I don't think their strengths play to the Nets' weaknesses. So it really allows the Nets to play how they want to play. I think you're going to see a lineup of Kyrie, Harden, KD, Blake, and then I think they might go with Bruce Brown since Joe Harris is banged up. I think that will be the five against the Celtics. And the Celtics play small. Tatum starts at the 4. That's fine with KD. And then allow the Nets to guard Kemba they can guard him with Bruce Brown or they can guard him with Kyrie, either one. And then Harden could play on Smart and sag off a little bit. Smart's not a great shooter. And Blake can match up with Robert Williams. Like, it really matches up well for the Nets. I
Yeah,
think as you go
we
deeper in
matched
the
up well with them as the old version of the Nets too. Like they play
yeah, that's
small,
too. Yeah,
and
the only issue with the first time was when Jaylen Brown was there. Then that means they were really big. So they
mm,
had 6'8", 6'9" at the forward spots, and the Nets were having to guard Jaylen
I
Brown with either Joe Harris or
yeah.
Spencer. So they were a little undersized there on the wing, but still, I don't think the talent was enough for the Celtics to be able to win. But I think you're going to see the Nets this first series. It's going to really work into how they want to play. I'm interested to see what happens against Milwaukee and Philly because I'm not sure that they could start KD at the 4 against those two teams,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure they can still start Bruce Brown, so that would hurt their perimeter defense. So I think they're going to have to insert Jeff Green in there or potentially Nick Claxton because you're gonna need. I don't know if DJ can hang with Giannis after what we saw. He looked good the first game, but I think they might go with Jeff Green or Blake and go with a kind of a bigger front court with Durant, Green, and Blake, so you can kind of switch off 3 through 5 and kind of clog the lane with some length against Giannis, and then against Embiid. And DJ Zona has any kind of strength that can match up to him, but I think the Nets might just say, listen, we're not going to play to their strength. We're not going to just kind of leave DJ down there on an island and let him go. We might play small, have Blake bang with him, kind of front him a little bit, be physical, and then just send doubles and force Embiid to be a passer, because we really haven't seen Embiid forced to do that much. And in prior series where he was forced to do that against the Celtics in years past, he struggled with Horford, just a swarming defense that forced him to pass. He's a great player. He's not Jokic in ability to pass and read the floor. So rather than letting him just pound down on the floor at 320 pounds and bully his way into the paint, it might be a better strategy for the Nets to play small, allow their offense to flourish, and then just really force him to be a passer and sag off on a guy like Ben Simmons. So it'll be interesting to see, though, the matchups from round to round, and that's one of the things I'm looking forward to most of seeing this Nets team go deep in the playoffs.
All right, so we're gonna wind this joint down. Perfect answer, by the way, Billy. I really appreciate your basketball acumen and I'm happy with the way this pod is coming out. So let's wind this joint down because we've been running our mouth for a while, and I've been keeping. By the way, these two young gentlemen, Nets World and New York City, who listens to us and may not be a part of Nets World, these two young men are I'm talking about Sam and Billy here. They're both lawyers. These guys are covering the Nets, and you're not lawyers yet, but in law school, right? Right? You're in law school.
Lawyers in training, yes. Exactly. Lawyers in training.
Right. Has anyone passed the bar?
No, that's next year for me.
I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, so I just finished my first year. I took a gap year after undergrad, so I just finished my first year, and year 2's coming up next. So I'm 1 year behind Seth, I guess.
Also, I'm the son of a judge that was supposed to be a lawyer, and I learned that was his mistake. He gave me a computer in 1986, and I've been coding ever since. But I want to wind this thing down, and I really appreciate you guys' time and everything, and I appreciate you guys being smart and brilliant and bringing more to this Nets conversation and elevating. Like, we need this. They're talking baseball on drive time, and so our fan base needs this to kind of take us, just have the content to fill and think about the team they love. So let's wind this thing down. Give me your standout player on each team for the series. Starting with you, Sam.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Harden for the Nets, just because I'm honestly just curious what his body's gonna look like, and I think as Billy said, I think
he's on peak Pillsbury Doughboy. That's what he looks like. That's what he's going to be.
He's cultivating mass for the playoff run. That's what it is.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, look at him cultivating mass as he drinks a smoothie.
Yeah, that was.
So James, you got James, and who's the Celtics' outstanding person?
So I saw that. I actually couldn't watch the game, but I saw that Robert Williams left the first playing game and got hurt, and he's somebody who definitely makes me nervous because obviously you could say Tatum or Kemba, but obviously the Nets have gotten hit by bigs, and even a guy like Tristan is someone who can give the Nets worries. But Time Lord is definitely a big time player and someone I get nervous about, but his health now seems to be an issue. So, I think. Because I think that's where the Celtics could get easier buckets, whereas Tatum and Kemba, for as good as they are, a lot of their buckets are actually kind of difficult. Whereas Time Lord kind of just clogs.
Yeah, no, he's my worry too. I would have chosen him because it seems like NBA bigs just have their career games against us. Billy, who's your two guys?
It's tough to peg just two. Like I said, I think it's gonna be a 5-game series. I think it's gonna be kind of a total team effort for the Nets. I think we're gonna see KD really just prove that how big of a gap there is between him and a really good all-star player in Jason Tatum, but the gap between a superstar, MVP, guy in the discussion for best player in the league, and then like a top 10 to 15 player that's a really good all-star. Like I think KD's going to be able to defend Tatum well, and he's still going to be able to get his buckets on the other end. I think we'll see a gap there. And then depending on which one Marcus Smart takes, either Kyrie or Harden, I'm going to guess they put him on Harden, but I think Kyrie's going to have a big series against the Celtics. And then for the Celtics, I mean, you're looking at Tatum. Like I said, he's the only guy that can really determine if the Celtics are going to compete in this series. I wouldn't be surprised to see him average 30, even in a losing effort. He's a really good player. But like I said, I don't think the Celtics have enough to really compete with the Nets. But it should be a fun series nonetheless. And then New York-Boston's always a fun wrinkle. And the TD Garden has history. So I definitely think that's a more exciting series than what the Wizards would have been. I mean, they're not a team with history. Capital One Arena in Washington is not anything that's really fun to watch a game at. You got TD Garden, you got Boston, the Celtics brand, with the history of the trade and Kyrie and all that. I think it makes for a better viewing pleasure.
Excuse me. I wanted to get all of the legacy teams. Like when the NBA was just 5 teams, the Sixers wasn't part of it, but the Knicks, the Celtics. Sixers are still an old team, and
Lakers
and the Lakers. I wanted to go through all of the legacy teams and win our championship. If you, my guy on the Nets, I think is going to be super vital to not just this game but to the playoffs itself. I think Nick Claxton is going to be vital. I think you need the young energy of a Nick Claxton, of a Bruce Brown. Like, people forget, Bruce Brown is 24. He was 23 the whole season. He turned 24. He's a young piece for the Nets.
Bruce Brown's the same age as me and Seth. I mean, you wouldn't know it based on those shoulders and that workout regimen that he has, but he's the same age as us, which is crazy to think about.
No, I got years on you, Billy, because I took a 4-year gap after.
Oh, okay, got you. Same age as me, at least.
I'm getting closer to like the me and Kyrie are both 2 guys.
Well, you better watch out. Nike's about to get ready to move on from you to John Morant.
I know.
You're getting kicked out soon.
Well, I'm Steve Nash's age, so no. But I say all of this to say that Nick Claxton plays a great role, and I'm worried that he's not gonna get minutes. I'm worried that they're gonna apply the NBA cliche of he's too young, he's a rook. I think he's the Nets' best defender, hands down. At the very least, it cannot be argued that he's the Nets' defensive future. I think they're a better team when he plays, and I'm worried he's not going to get the level of tick necessary to, like, I think that's something that can derail our play. I think we could lose in the second round if we do not use Nick Claxton. Not so much in the first round. I think we're going to cakewalk the Celtics for some reason. I really just believe that. But in the second round, we're going to need Nick Claxton. Who's a player that is in danger of not playing, that you might not see, that you think the Nets need for the playoffs? Sam, you go first.
Sorry, can you? It's who's a player that
the Nets are not going to play, are in danger of not playing, and it's going to hurt?
So I've been now terrified for a while about the disappearance of Tyler Johnson, because I think he's excellent, and I don't love all the Mike James minutes. So I'm just curious to see what happens with him, because I think he stabilizes the offense. I think when stuff's kind of out of whack, he slows things down, and he's incredibly bright. So I'm hoping we still see him a lot.
Yeah, no, I love White Iverson. I mean, when White Iverson, every time I see him with his Jordans on, I just know, like, you know, Post Malone, he just did such a great job transforming from music superstar to NBA player, and then ending up on the Nets. And, you know, I love White Iverson. Who's your guy, Billy? Who do you think might not get ticked that we need?
Yeah, I hate to give the same answer, but I think Tyler Johnson's going to be the odd man out in the rotation. And I really like his fit next to Harden. So he kind of phased out of